What's up, fam? Elijah Shidler here, and welcome back to another episode of EXTOL WE. And this week, I am the extra, and Jesus is my ordinary. Now, fam, the videos that went live this last week we're halfway there. Connected 3.5 years ago in the past, a video called Me and Father. And God has revealed so much stuff to me over the last 3.5 years as I've watched this video over and over and over with him and stewarded it forward in time. Had to write it all down. I'm going to be reading most of it so that this video stays just south of 45 minutes long. But fam, God has done so much to highlight his goodness revealed to us as his children. The lesson is exactly the same as the lesson in the video from 3.5 years ago that posted live. We're halfway there. My Father is good. I'm talking insanely good, and I'm going to be boasting on the goodness of him as he directs our lives in revealing his glory in the story of our lives unfolding. Now, as I finished up this video before it went live, we're halfway there. I was watching it and stewarding it still in the dark in the area of mystery, and I went to watch it one more time the day before it went live on Sunday, May 18th, and God said, no more. Don't watch it anymore. Just go ahead and post it and put your views in. You've seen it enough. And when I went to go and post that, friends, I had watched the video 49 times in the secret place. And it was so incredibly encouraging to me that I had watched my parents' video that I posted on their 49th wedding anniversary. I had watched that video 49 times. And so again, this redemptive expression of God revealing himself in and through bloodlines of families as Jesus is glorified in the resurrection life that he has being poured out through his people. Now, my grandpa, if you haven't seen that video, died at 49 just before his 50th birthday. The thing that's been so beautiful then is coming into this time period, seeing how God has taken that 50 and that he's taken it then to 500, and that he's bringing this expression of the year of the Jubilee, the year of the Lord's favor that has now come through Jesus, that he's taking it to a level of not just 50, but 500, as you will soon see. Now, together with this 49, 49, 49, 50, 500. Likewise, it's been so beautiful seeing how he's also honoring my family line through the fact that this is episode 90. My grandpa was 90 years old when he passed away as the last living parent of my parents' parent generation. That's a lot of parents. Hopefully it'll be apparent here in a little bit why that's important. That also, my grandma Shidler was 88 years old. And so then episode 88 in the aspects of driving a stake in the ground, that my grandma was 88, my grandpa was 90, my grandpa Barnes was 49. It's all coming together to spell one thing: my Father is good. In other videos, I explain how all of this journey began with God calling me under the crawl space in my house back at 137 Gina Circle, where I used to rent from my friends. God called me under the crawl space, and I finally obeyed him on November 7th, 2017. Out of that time in prayer then shortly after that is when he gave me the dream in the night on March 17th, 2018 for Extraordinary Life with Elijah. And I progressed forward from there, launched my first and last video on Friday, February 14th, 2020. But within all of that, moving into this time with my grandpa of Remembrance Day, that he culminated all of that together in absolutely mind-numbingly precise ways. 500 years and 7 days before I went into the crawl space of my house on November 7th, 2017, Martin Luther nailed his 95 Theses to the door of the Catholic Church on October 31st, 1517, marking the beginning of the Reformation. God led me into sharing with him in his blessing of rest to sit on the seventh day and to look on prophetically what he had made in the first week after the 500th anniversary of the Reformation. I went into the crawl space at 10:33 p.m., 22:33 in military time, and it was 130 days later on my brother-in-law Jeff's 33rd birthday, on March 17th, 2018, that I then had the dream in the night for Extraordinary Life with Elijah at 3:21 a.m. And God said, it's as easy as 1, 2, 3, so 3, 2, 1, go. Side note, St. Patrick died March 17, 461, and it was 1,557 years to March 17th, 2018. This, minus the 1517, the year marking the beginning of the Reformation, is 40, and my brother-in-law Jeff turned 40 this year from my grandpa's 50th birthday, which was his first full day of being planted in the ground, to our day of remembrance for my grandpa Scheidler on Thursday, November 11th, 2021, Remembrance Day, my grandpa Scheidler being the last of my parents' parent generation. It's exactly 500 months. It was 500 months exactly between the period of time that all of my grandparents passed away, with my grandpa Barnes passing first and my grandpa Scheidler passing last, with both of their wives passing in the middle, that we stood on my grandpa's land honoring our family in remembrance. God has developed this pattern in my life that I either bring fullness of completion to God's works in others, or God will use others to bring fullness of completion of his works in me. My grandpa Barnes was killed in a head-on collision on Friday, March 7th, 1980, and my grandpa Scheidler passed in his own home on Thursday, November 4th, 2021, which is 499 months and 28 days. The 4-year anniversary of me first going into my crawl space was on Sunday, November 7th, 2021, 3 days after my grandpa Scheidler's passing, which brings the fullness of time in the good works of my grandparents to exactly 500 months, where my grandpa Barnes entered into death physically. I, in loving obedience to my Father's voice, was baptized into death under the ground through the exercise of the authority that he's given me to lay down my life by going into the crawl space in obedience to his will. One last element and the insights of timing that unfolded in God's movements in this. We spent the night in my grandpa Scheidler's house, which is the last place that he had been alive. On our way to my grandpa Barnes's property, we stopped at the place where he had been killed in the head-on collision and stood in the spot where his truck had come to rest. And then we went and stood on the land where the grandparent who had passed first had last stood while living. He would have lifted his feet into his truck and drove from this place. The history book of my mother's parents was closed first and placed on the shelf in the passing of my grandpa and grandma Barnes. And then the book of my father's parental legacy was placed next to it in the passing of my grandma and then grandpa Scheidler, connected through the covering of my grandmothers. And then me, my brother, and dad rested in the place of my last living grandparent, set out from here, and traced the history of our family back to stand in the place where our first parent, my grandpa Barnes, had last stood while he was alive. Here is a modern day revelation of Elijah intentionally being moved by God's Spirit through altars of remembrance of God's mighty works revealed through mothers and fathers of faith. 500 weeks before November 7th, 2021, on Sunday, April 8th, 2012, God gave me a revelation while overlooking the ocean in El Salvador while on a retreat during their Holy Week. We had just arrived in country, and the Lord revealed what was termed a spiritual EMP, an electromagnetic pulse generator that is effectively killing the vitality of the bride. I wrote, "Church, church, you're distracted with so many things, but only one thing is needed. All the things that you are distracted by and are fighting to gain will be taken from you. effortlessly with only a breath of opposition, and you will suffer loss. Only one thing is needed. Do you know what it is? Then on Tuesday, November 7th, 2017, God ensured to intentionally direct me into dying to myself, to be drawn away from and protected by the very thing that I had seen but was not mature enough to resist, and sat me down at his feet to abide with him in love, choosing the one thing that is needed, that it cannot be taken from me. 500 days previous, on June 25th, 2020, God called me to the crawl space of my office, where I recorded my very first and last video on Friday, February 14th, 2020, to record a set of 3 separate videos where I was included all together in all 3 time spaces, 2 of which have gone live, 1 of which is still yet to come. I was up all night long, and that morning I met with my friend Scott, who was my first client that I met at my new office. I recorded my videos as my last action in my old place of business, where I recorded my very first video, and then the very next action that I went to was to meet with Scott and to hear of him and his wife's dream to own property in the Gallatin Valley where we live. We began our meeting by a fire in the middle common area outside of my office, and then finished our meeting in a huge glass-encased atrium that was like a lighthouse. God took me from the crawl space to a lighthouse of business 500 days exactly from November 7th, 2021. 500 hours previous is Sunday, October 17th, 2021, and it was my niece JL's 7th birthday, the 17th of her birthday, and the 17th of the launch of Extraordinary Life with Elijah on President's Day, 2020, revealing 2:17. And the perfected rule of 1 putting to flight 1,000, but 2 putting to flight 10,000. As I shared within last week's video, God has revealed the strong tie between Elijah and Jael's ministry in Scripture, and how the spiritual inheritance established in the Kishon Valley through the quiet gentleness of Jael's faithfulness before God prophesied to Elijah how to escape the snare being set for his feet in slaughtering the prophets of Baal. Then in my video recorded on Remembrance Day, God revealed that I was in a Kairos moment of prophetic alignment of all 3 transitional points of reproductive respiration, founded on the intergenerational truth that our sons and daughters will prophesy to us. This has been made all the more sweet out of the blessing of being the one who first spoke Jael's name in her birth. My brother had received prophetic insight about her life, called me and gave me a verse to read, and placed his phone on her chest with the speakerphone on. Then I read out the passage, including her name. My older brother was releasing our father's dream for his daughter's destiny through his younger brother, who humbly received this dream as the clearly defined vision to enact. And then his daughter, Jael, has prophesied to the young man, Elijah, to instruct him how to walk in the authority of her quiet gentleness. 500 minutes previous, on November 7th, 2021, likewise, God released a profound blessing of his revealed goodness, but its manifestation awaits an appointed time in the future. 500 seconds previous, my heart was being settled and guided by God's Spirit to move into the communion of remembrance with him of what Jesus had taught me in that space and time. And in this moment, I'm recording this video for you on Memorial Day weekend. Now for the revelation of the final finish line of all of this previous insight. 14 videos previous to the video marking my halfway point was the end of season 5, when I left the crawl space of the place that I was renting and moved into the first place that I had owned. My back was out, and so my community picked up my whole family and carried all of us to this new inheritance in the Lord without me literally lifting a finger. The very first episode of season 6 then was recorded in this house of testimony, and my cousin Josiah established the pattern of identity coming alongside aspects lacking in destiny and good works of others to bring the expression of God's glory in their fullness. From March 7th, 1980, when my grandpa Barnes died, to November 4th, 2021, when my last grandparent died, it was 499 months, 28 days. 3 days later, on the 4-year anniversary of me going into my crawl space with the Lord, on November 7th, 2021, it was 500 months exactly from when my first grandparent passed, which proclaims the resurrection power of Jesus being revealed in redemption of my family's bloodline. 4 days later, on November 11th, 2021, Remembrance Day, God took the 4 years, the 48 months of his revealed goodness in directing the timing of my life, and combined this with the lives of my 2 grandmas, 48 plus 2, bringing an expression of the Lord's Jubilee rule of favor in 50, which proclaims the power of Jesus and the life of Lazarus being revealed in my family's bloodline. Things and people that have been loved and lost before their time are rotting and stinky and way beyond hope of being revived, are being brought to life to reveal the glory of God at the exact right time, to establish a remembrance of my Father's glory being displayed in the intentional movements of his goodness that declare his name before all mankind. My dad, brother, and I had spent the entire day on November 11th going to places of significance in our family history, telling stories, honoring all of our fathers and mothers in our family lineage, gathering up all of the weight of honor within ourselves. And then my father and his brother planted my grandpa's remains in the earth, pervaded by this testimony of God's goodness being displayed in and through redeemed bloodlines. It was 500 months exactly from my grandpa Barnes' birthday, his first day of being planted in the earth, to November 11th, 2021. My dad, brothers, and my day of remembrance in honoring our fathers and mothers. And then my dad and his brother planted my grandpa Scheidler in the ground on the first day of a new work of God through my family's bloodline, with the full weight of honor through turning our hearts to our fathers. God revealed all of this to me in the moment of listening to the episode Coming Full Circle on Monday, February 3rd, 2025, as I listened to it the first full day that it came into the queue to go live, to be resurrected into the light while still buried in darkness. February 3rd, 2-3, giving birth to 2233. As I feverishly wrote down all of the aspects of this revelation on February 3rd, 2025, God told me to add up the age of all of my grandparents when they died: 49 and 81 on the Barnes side, and 88 and 90 on the Scheidler side, which comes to 308 combined years. The sum total of my Barnes lineage is 130, which is the same number of days from November 7th, 2017 to March 17th, 2018, when God gave me my dream in the night for extraordinary life with Elijah. And the sum total of my Scheidler lineage is 178, which is 2 times 89, the 5th prime number in the Fibonacci sequence. Very meaningful. Also, check out what numbers pop to the surface when significant numbers from my extraordinary life with Elijah process are placed into this total combined number of 308. 308 divided by 28 equals 11. 308 divided by 14 equals 22. 308 divided by 7 is 44. 308 divided by 4 is 77. 308 divided by 3.5 is 88. And 308 divided by 154 equals 2. What a coincidence. As I ended my first and last video, On Friday, February 14th, 2020, I said, I've played you a song for 3.5 years with my life. Thanks for being the fingers of God that played my heartstrings to release the song. On May 5th, 2024, God woke me up just after midnight with an audible tone that I could hear, which was 34 minutes into the first day, 17 years after God's word came to me about my destiny in the earth on May 4th, 2007. Perfection revealed in the number 17. Sound familiar? I jumped out of bed, humming the note, ran downstairs and recorded it on my phone. When I hit stop, I saw that it was recording 111 on my phone and that I had recorded it at 12:34 a.m. Out of the overflow of the heart, the mouth speaks, which is central to God giving me freedom to step into releasing the revelation of reproductive respiration. Later on, I found out that the note I was singing was 500 hertz, which God revealed was the sound of reformation that he had placed in me. There's a revelation included in the episode listed above, but God has given me the foundational note beginning at 111 hertz, 222 hertz, 333 hertz, 444 hertz, 555 hertz, all the way up to 3,330 hertz and beyond. The song of God's glory being revealed through my family's bloodline has been lifted from 1, 2, 3, 4 to 11, 22, 33, 44 to 111, 222, 333 to 444 to 1,111, 2,222, 3,030, 333, 4,444, and on. The day after the 17th year anniversary of God speaking into my life in the Beartooth Mountains, he gave me the sound of reformation in 500 hertz. 17 years to the day after I entered into formal ministry at First Alliance as a youth pastor, one of my key students, Will, called me to ask if I would serve him in ministry, honoring him as my authority, turning the hearts of the fathers to the younger and the younger to the older. I launched my channel on February 17th, 2020. 500 hours previous, on November 7th, was my niece JL's 7th birthday on October 17th. Is anybody paying attention? Final element. My video, we're halfway there, went live on Sunday, May 18th. I was on assignment from God and I went and hiked a mountain the next day on May 19th, which I'll tell you about. It's also why my face is sunburned and peeling. And then on May 20th, a very interesting pattern opened up where every date reads the same forwards and backwards for 10 days straight. The date of May 4th times the date of May 5th is 20, and the pattern of 18, 19, 20 is very significant, marking the celebration of fathers, and you'll get to hear about it on Sunday, December 27th, 2026 at 10:50 a.m. MST. It's just sitting there like a sweaty bomb of revelation, ready to go off. Oh man, you can hear about it more next week. But again, God has been teaching me about Elijah of old, how he went from place to place to place to place, connecting all of the dots of places of remembrance in the mighty acts of God within and through his people. He parted the Jordan River, walked through on dry ground, and released the testimonies of God from their hidden prison as a manifest prism of God's light of truth, so that people could have insight into the goodness of God and turn their hearts back to him as his children. Here in this 10-day window, God is again giving people insight backwards in time, into the present, and off into the future. It's a window of alignment to be able to see forwards and backwards in time, having an Elijah connect the dots for you in the movements of the Father. I'm blessed to be my Father's BTS cameraman and give you a clear picture into what he's been doing behind the scenes while building his dwelling place in his people. I'm no one wild or crazy or extraordinary. I'm just an ordinary son of God who loves to be with his dad and take pictures of him flexing his huge muscles for us as his family. He tells me where to stand, when to hit record, and to make sure that I stay focused on him. God is increasing the glory of his name in the earth through the movements of his good works revealed in and through me. My Father has given me a name as his son, and I am laboring with all of the energy of Christ contained within me to make a name for him in the earth. I'm serving to please my Father's heart through the exercise of my gifts to impart grace to you so that you can know my Father more. Family is the most powerful algorithm. God's faithfulness to and through me is being revealed in the fulfillment of his ways down to the year, month, week, day, hour, minute, second, and this moment in the glory of his goodness revealed to me that he has caused to pass before my eyes, declaring his identity. My Father is good. He is really good. And now in this remembrance, on Memorial Day, I have caused it to pass in front of your eyes too. Ever notice that my very first video is called In Loving Remembrance, and that I quote that the year of the Lord's favor has come? My Father has been pursuing you for a long time, and I'm grateful that in joining him in his pursuit of you, my life has been blessed to release the song of heaven over you. I've been saying for a long time, open it, Father, open it, but the way is open. Heaven has drawn near, and you're free to return home to the Father and your family any time that you would like. The celebration will be ready when you arrive. Me and Father are working very hard to make sure that it will be so. In the words from two prophets who have been awaiting an appointed time, our Father is a God of destiny, and his ways are providential. Don't go back. Go ahead. Family, my encouragement to you out of the overflow of God's grace imparted to me is that he longs to speak to and through his people. This is extraordinary life with Elijah. This is my very ordinary life. There is nothing special about me. I am a son of God that's walking through life with a heart of love that seeks to see my Father's face in everything. Our Father is always speaking. He is always acting. And the only difference between hearing his voice and not hearing his voice is believing that he is speaking in this moment and that I am able to hear him. My life has demonstrated in overwhelming testimony that God has been and is directing the steps of my life as I have used the gifts that he has given me to please his heart, that it has created a testimony that is so bright in the world that I'm standing on a stage in front of the entire world, letting my light shine, that they could see my good works. I did all of that stuff. It was me, but it's my Father's glory that is shining through me. Do your good works before men that they may see them and that they may glorify your Father in heaven. Family, my invitation to you is that you would reach out to the Father, that you would ask him to speak to you, and that you would listen for his voice, that you would keep your eyes open in belief, looking for his movements, and that as you see him moving, declaring his identity, that you would tell others of the glories of his goodness. Family, I'm serving to please my Father's heart through the exercise of my gifts to impart grace to you, to demonstrate to the world that family is the most powerful algorithm. So if you subscribe to what I'm doing, then hit the button, hit it, and then get it. Hit the bell as well so you get notified with the new Content. I'm a content creator. It's what I do. And if you love this video, you didn't just like it, hit the thumbs down button. I pray blessings on all of our lives together. I love you guys lots, and I will see you in the next video.